Welcome back to Puerto Rico Life. This is Jeffrey Holst, and I have an enormous announcement, which if you're following this channel for a while, you already know. But if you're one of our friends or family, you do not know, and that is we're moving to Puerto Rico. So I'm making it official on this video, and I'm going to share this video on Facebook and also with the rest of the interwebs. So about 5 or 6 months ago, I visited San Juan with a friend, Brian Leverage, a friend and business partner. We went for a long weekend. I came back from that weekend and I said to my wife, Becky, I'm going to move to Puerto Rico. And I created a video for this channel called Don't Tell My Wife I'm Moving to Puerto Rico. And I'll put that right up there. So anyway, so that was the first video. It was about 5 months ago. And since then, we've made enormous progress on our plans to move to Puerto Rico. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I will share with you the exact timing on our move and when we're moving, why we're moving at that time, and all that. So if you could do me a favor, if this is the first time that you've seen anything about this channel and you're watching this video, maybe you're one of my Facebook friends or my family members who are just now finding out that Becky and I are moving to Puerto Rico, hop on over to YouTube, or if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like for this video. And also, it would be amazing if you would subscribe to the channel, because the more people that subscribe, the more likes and interactions and comments I get on the channel, the more engagement that I get, the more people will see the videos, and the more people that see the videos, the more encouragement I have to continue making the videos. And I have so much more to document about the process of moving to Puerto Rico. So there are already lots of great videos on this channel about Puerto Rico, which I will share with you a little bit about it. So anyway, let me go back to why we are moving to Puerto Rico, because this is actually really relevant. So there's a couple of different things that I thought about. So the number one reason is it's a function of reaching for the sky. It's going for your goals. It's a leap of faith. If you know anything about me, actually, if you don't know anything about me, I recommend checking out this video, which I'll put right there above my head. It's a video about my life story. It's about a 12-minute long video. I will also put that in the comment section below so that you can go check that out. But that video is just a short, here's what happened to Jeff and here's where he is now kind of video. It talks about Last Life Ever and the Last Life Ever philosophy, which is one of the main reasons why I'm very excited about this move to Puerto Rico. So people who do know me know that it's very important to me to help people live the very best possible version of their lives. That's why I do almost everything I do. Well, one of the things that I know for my wife and I, Becky and I have talked about for the last several years, is when I quit working my regular job to focus on real estate investing full time, we said in 5 years, that was in 2017. So 4 years ago, it was the spring of 2017. So 4.5 years ago, we said in 5 years, we're going to move to the Caribbean. That's the goal. So now we're getting close to 5 years and we need to be making progress. Now, we may or may not hit that 5-year mark exactly. We might be a little sooner. We might be a little later. Like I said, I'm going to fill you in on our timeline at the end of the video, so stick around for that. But the reason we want to live in the Caribbean is we both love oceans. We love the ocean life, right? So I could share a whole bunch of pictures of my trips to Puerto Rico. I can talk to you about scuba diving. I can talk to you about the weather. All of that is true. But this was really driven home for me. The universe has a way. God has a way of pushing this stuff into our psyche. We wanted to move to Puerto Rico. We wanted to move somewhere in the Caribbean. We've chosen Puerto Rico because when I was in Puerto Rico earlier this year in March for a few days, 3 things happened. The first one was it just felt great to be out of the normal COVID world and traveled in like a year, so it was amazing just to be able to go to the ocean, to get in the water, to do some scuba diving. I went diving with Brian, his first time ever scuba diving. I think he loved it. But I also had just recently been diagnosed with melanoma. So now, ironically, I'm choosing to go to a place with lots of sunshine. Of course, let me do this real quick here. I'll show you guys. This is the view from our room that Brian and I stayed in. at the Caribe Hilton. So this is the world that I want to live in. Actually, uh, I want to live in a place where I can see this every day. So one of my goals is to have an ocean view when I eventually do buy a place, and then I can do stuff like this too, right? This is the view. When I made the decision that I wanted to move to Puerto Rico, I was sitting on the beach, looking at the ocean at the Caribe Hilton, saying, I'm moving to Puerto Rico, and I came back from that. But it came down to, like, I had this melanoma right here on my chest, and it was painful, and I was like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I had just gotten diagnosed. I hadn't even had it removed yet, so I had it removed right after getting back from Puerto Rico. And fortunately, they got it all. But that little cancer scare, combined with my previous cancer scares in life, really, really drove home the point. We only get this one chance, and it's really, really important that it's really, really important that I do this now. I don't wait, right? So that was the impetus behind the timing and really making the decision quickly. So things I like about Puerto Rico: it's a U.S. territory. Or at least it's I've learned since reading about Puerto Rico, and you'll see on this channel I have videos about books that I've been reading about Puerto Rico, that technically Puerto Rico is a commonwealth that is not part of but belongs to the United States. But it's a fancy way of saying, listen, I can go to Puerto Rico freely, go back and forth without the need for visas, without the need for passports. They use the US dollar. You're still a US citizen in Puerto Rico. So there's a lot of like advantages of Puerto Rico over, say, like Mexico or the Dominican Republic, which would be a lot cheaper of a place to live, because there's this thing called the Jones Act, which makes it difficult to import things directly, difficult or impossible to import things directly to Puerto Rico. Things have to come through the US first. So there's a lot of, and same with exporting things. It's a really challenging thing for their local economy. But all that being said, it's got that association with the United States, the free association that allows for more flexibility in deciding to live there. So that's one reason why I really like Puerto Rico. Another part I really like about it, because the U.S. Virgin Islands kind of have a similar situation, but I find the culture of Puerto Rico to be more exciting. I don't speak Spanish. Un poquito español. You'll see I've worked on learning a little bit of Spanish in the last few months, but it's very, very small. I'm still working on it. But I have a whole playlist on this channel about what I'm doing to learn Spanish. And just a quick update on that: I just recently downloaded on Audible a Spanish language course as well. So I'm going to add that to my routine. And Becky and I are both very excited about learning Spanish, which is something that we both wanted to do for a while, is to learn a foreign language. So so that's that's part of it. There's this cultural thing, and then of course the weather and ocean stuff that I talked about before. But it's also just a general quality of life thing. I feel happier when I'm in Puerto Rico. I know this is probably associated with positive associations from my younger days. Becky and I went to Puerto Rico on our honeymoon, our first trip away from the United States together was to Puerto Rico. We went on a cruise from there. So the first time I was in Puerto Rico, I was there like maybe an hour. We went on a 7-day cruise, and then spent 3 days at the end of that cruise in San Juan. We rented a car, we drove around the island, and I just love that experience so much. It's the first time that Becky and I really got to travel in a place that felt foreign together. And now it feels like when we go back there, it's almost like going home. We've gone, I don't know, 8 or 9 times over the course of our marriage to Puerto Rico, either for a cruise or on a cruise, or just to go for a long weekend. And then, of course, this year, after the trip that I went with Brian, I said, well, I talked to my coach, Jamil, and my personal, life coach, Jamil, about the possibility of moving to Puerto Rico. And he was like, look, if you want to go to Puerto Rico, what you need to do is you need to spend like 30 days there and see how it goes. So that's why earlier this year, I spent from May 15th to June 15th in San Juan in Condado. And there's a lot of content on this channel from that time there, including this amazing video where Condado was flooding, which I'll put above my head there. Anyway, so went back, rented a car for the whole month, spent a month there. Spent some time with my co-host Jillian from Last Life Ever. My partner Travis came down to see me. My partner Brian came to see me again. So that was his second trip to Puerto Rico. I did some more scuba diving. I spent some time in the ocean. I discovered cool places in San Juan and found out that my wife really wanted to live in Rincon, which is about 2.5 hours from San Juan. And I want to live in San Juan. So we've been working towards resolving that. But there's this quality of life issue that's just amazing. And then on top of all that, I discovered after talking to a friend of mine who lives in San Juan about half of the time, a little bit over half the year in Puerto Rico, a little bit under half the year in Idaho. I discovered that there are some enormous tax advantages to living in Puerto Rico, which I can talk about more in another video, but you can just Google like Puerto Rico tax advantages and see that if you actually live in Puerto Rico, there are some very attractive potential tax advantages. It's much more complicated than the scope of this particular video, but there's some good reasons to go there from a tax perspective. And so I will probably also take advantage of that. Although right now, honestly, because I'm a real estate investor and because I do things like cost segregations, which if you don't know what that is and you're a real estate investor, you should definitely reach out to me and I will share with you about how you can save a tremendous amount of your taxes using cost segregations. I don't actually pay U.S. federal income tax. Every year we have a carry forward loss from depreciation. And so we haven't paid tax for the last few years. So the tax advantages are not that big of a driver for me, but it is there and is something that's worth looking at. All right. So as I promised at the beginning of this video, I'm going to talk about the timing. So this decision was made over the course of the spring. And by the time I got back on June 15th, I was convinced I was definitely moving to Puerto Rico. Then flash forward to Labor Day weekend. Today is the night, as I film this, is the 19th of September. Labor Day was just a few weeks ago. Becky and I went to Rincon. Mrs. Puerto Rico Life, as I refer to her on this channel, still hasn't made a public appearance on the channel, but we went to Rincon because she wants to live on the West Coast, and we explored that side of the island for 6 days. Then we went back over to San Juan and decided that timing wise, we're going to start out by living in San Juan. And the reason for that is she has an amazing and exciting announcement of her own, which I'll let her make, but she will not be joining me for the first little period that we're in Puerto Rico. So we will be living apart for a short period of time. This is not just so there's no rumors about this. This is not a negative in our relationship. This is very positive. Becky has some amazing stuff she's doing that's going to require her to stay in the U.S. a little bit longer than me. And when we got back from San Juan a few weeks ago, a week and a half ago now, Becky and I had made the decision that we're definitely going to move, and the timeline was set for us. I will be moving around the end of this year. So 2 to 3 months from now, I will be living in Puerto Rico. I will be, during that initial period, coming back and forth because, like I said, Becky is going to be staying here in the U.S., and she intends to leave her employment at the end of February. So she's going to continue working through February. She's going to stay in the U.S. for a period of time after that. I'll let her talk about that in her own time. But that's all very exciting stuff as well. But for a period of time, we're going to be back and forth a little bit, but with me being officially living in Puerto Rico, hopefully before the end of this year, and with her coming sometime towards the end of summer. So there'll be a period of about a half a year where we live apart. And during that time, I anticipate I'll be traveling back and forth a fair amount. And so we will be completely moved after that period of time. So sometime in 2022, we will be completely 100% living in Puerto Rico. We're selling our house in Chattanooga. We're going to not retain a primary residence anywhere other than in Puerto Rico. Like I said, going to rent for the first year while we decide if we want to buy in Rincon on the West Coast, or if we want to buy on the East Coast or the North Coast or the South Coast. I mean, for all we know, the purpose of this year is to discover where we want to live on the island. It might be San Juan, Isla Verde, Condado, Old San Juan, Santurce, but it also might be like Fajardo or Luquillo or Ponce or Maiguez or Rincon or, Isabella, any of those places. And if you want to follow along on that process, I'm going to document all of the places that I visit in Puerto Rico when I and the moving process, the shipping of goods, all of that stuff here on this channel, and also I will be sharing personal insights into that experience. And so if you're a friend of mine on Facebook and you're just now discovering this huge announcement that Becky and I are moving to Puerto Rico, or you're one of my family members, and I'm sorry I haven't told you sooner, we really wanted to wait to make a public announcement about it until after Becky had a chance to decide the timeline and tell her work, because we didn't want to create any problems for her at work. And now that that is officially public, I can share with you this very exciting news. And Becky and I will become more and more public about our move to Puerto Rico on our Facebook page. I also created a Facebook group called Puerto Rico Life, named after this channel. I will start putting that in the comments to this video as well. I have 19 members there, and I made a quick announcement yesterday about us moving to Puerto Rico on there, or shared this channel there. But I would encourage people who are fans of this channel to join the Facebook group as well, because in there we can interact with people, we can share with people insights, we can talk back and forth about different places in Puerto Rico. And that's really a place for people who live in Puerto Rico, want to live in Puerto Rico, want to travel to Puerto Rico, have traveled to Puerto Rico and just wish they could go back, and want to share pictures and insights and excitement of things that they did when they were in Puerto Rico. It's really just about like what Puerto Rico is about. So Puerto Rico Life Facebook group. Like I said, I'll put the comment in the comment section of this video, how to join that Facebook group. And it's not it's easy. You just click the link and join the Facebook group. So I would love it if people would join the Facebook group as well. And there's lots of other great resources on Puerto Rico. I appreciate everyone who has stuck around to the end of the video. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, share the channel now on Facebook, wherever you want, because it is public. We're moving to Puerto Rico. That's right. I can't line it up just right. I can't do it. These reverse images make it really hard. So this hand's got to go here. Anyway, I really appreciate everyone. I have over 450 people that follow this. And soon, like in the next day or so, we're going to hit 25,000 views, which is amazing. That is actually more views than one of my other channels has that I've had for 2 or 3 years. This is a brand new channel, 25,000 views. So much traction, and I appreciate every one of you. I've had people reach out to me. I've even had a chance to make some friends from doing this channel, and I'm just so excited about the choice that Becky and I have made, Mrs. Puerto Rico Life and I have made. She's at work right now, but and she also isn't not as public facing as me, so she didn't want to be in the video, but she said, yes, go ahead and tell the world that we're moving to Puerto Rico. So thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.